And we are back with the next set just on the way between Papis and the Snake Pit. Now, Papis we saw last week, but we haven't actually seen any games from Snake Pit so far this time around. AJ, I love Snake Pit. They're probably, well, they're one of my favorites, as are all of them. But I'm good friends with some players here. Really like their stuff. I'm super excited to see how they're going to go up against the Papis, but both rosters are very strong.
Yeah, both are. These are rosters consisting of talent that is just glanced into the SPL from time to time. I mean, Papis were there famously in Season 4 for a bit. And you have a look at the side of the Snake Pit. I mean, Genetics had a small run-in with the SPL just very recently. I mean, Worst Turtle, Terrim, Angry, and Spudio are names that have come up consistently as potential replacements for people in the European side of things for the SMITE Pro League. So these are tenured rosters. These are rosters which match very well with each other, and ones that have had conflicting week ones, with the Snake Pit coming out 2-0 victors over Smiley Face, whilst Papis, as we did say earlier, surprise losers against Picarinibs too.
Yeah, it was. I mean, well, it was a really good set of games, though. To be fair to them, they definitely didn't have a poor showing. So we'll have to see what they're going to do in this set today. Let's hop into game. Let's hop into game number one. Let's hop into picks and bans for game number one. Let's do that right now.
Snake Pit elect to take the first pick here in game number one. Don't forget, afterwards it goes to whichever team loses the previous game, gets choice. So interesting to see how this set shakes up and which mini-metas will develop. Will we see more of an emphasis on the Cupid, which was banned out in both games last set? Don't forget, you cannot give the pick over to the Papis because they will play it out of their minds. They will also play it mid if they feel like it suits them. Do we also see Sun Wukong making more of a reprisal once more and continuing on his upward trend? Do we see more Ra bans? Who knows?
Well, I know for a fact that both Creed and Terror Room have a big Wukong in their back pocket if they want to pull it out. But Creed also definitely favors these Guardian picks more so than the Warriors. So we'll have to see what the Soul Lane matchup is going to come up to, but should be very interesting, as Daji is the first character banned out here from the Snake Pit. This is a bit of an off-meta pick.
Little bit. So this tells me that the Papis and the Snake Pit may have scrimmed each other a fair bit, or the Snake Pit got wind of what Papis were scrimming with, and have realized that the Daji has been quite a successful pick for them in scrims, and they just want to take it away from them early on, maybe look to try and force through some of the top picks themselves. So don't forget, they can look to take the Emoja, they can look to take a Persephone if it wasn't banned, they could look to take the Cupid themselves, maybe even the Ram. Just one of those tier 1 picks. If they can let just one of them through, they get it themselves guaranteed.
For sure. And, well, with the Atomic Chainsaw banned out there for the Papis, we're not going to be seeing any Kali from either of these teams. Rama and Fafnir banned out from Snake Pit. Now, obviously, Rama, don't really need to go into. Best hunter at the moment. Fafnir, though, I feel is a bit of an off pick. He's not, like, bad in the support role at the moment at all, but probably not the first place I would go in terms of a ban.
I mean, for European side of things, I think Fafnir has become a lot more valuable, considering a lot of junglers are going in for the Kalis, the Bakasaurus, Nemesis, Alquangs. Godset synergize extremely well with high attack speed. So if they're going to be getting this boost from the Coerce, as Capri's banned now instead of the Cupid, this should be an instant snap pick Cupid here from the Snake Pit, unless they feel like the Papis are baiting them into it. But it is going to be the Cupid taking it away from the Papis, like we said they should do. But again, the Fafnir, just that Coerce, that extra bit of attack speed synergizes extremely well with the playstyle we see coming out from most European sides.
Fair enough. I hadn't quite looked at it from that direction. Now, with the ban of Kepri is another kind of weird off-meta support ban. Do you think Papis are maybe looking into some, well, I was about to say execution gods, but it's kind of the opposite. You want to let them pick Kepri into those. So I'm a little off kilter there. Hombats and Thoth instead going to be picked up by the Papis here.
For me, the Capri ban is just them looking at genetics. When he was playing in the SPL, he was obviously playing on European ping towards the NA service, so it was about 100, 120 ping on most games, and he was picking the Capri up most of the time, so it's obviously a comfort pick for him, one that he would look to go back to week in, week out. Just take that away from him if you're unsure what to ban. If you want to give them the Cupid because you have some picks to go well against it, I like the ban if they have the answers to the Cupid, and I think that they do with the Thoth and Hombats, but both of them are susceptible to the Fields of Love cripple, especially when they're locked in with the Umoja Ultimate. Thoth has no chance of getting out.
Absolutely. This is just going to be a bowling alley of death for the big Birdman, but Guan Yu's going to be... Sorry, Guan Yu's going to get picked up here for Terror Rim. I know that he particularly likes this pick as well, and it's a strong pick, as we saw very well utilized by Julio last game. Well, last set. Picks it up both times over there, but now the Ganesh, once again, they're really picking into this Cupid rather than around it, and I don't really like this kind of draft from Papis.
I mean, I like the Ganesh. It is Draco Marino's best god. It's one that he's made himself a household name in Spain for. And it's one that a lot of teams have learned to pick up because of the fact that he plays this Ganesh so well. The Ganesh's Ohm will allow him to give protections to around him to make that Fields of Love damage just do a tiny bit less. But what's more, it can also negate this Tallow Assault coming out from Guan Yu and stop the Fields of Love coming out at a particular time if timed out very well. Now, the Ra Herabands, just again, getting rid of some safety in that mid lane, wants to have decent turnaround potential onto the Hombats and to the Thoth. Wants to try and force Snake into something a bit more close range, just so therefore they can trap them into this Hombats and Ganesh pick.
Well, and it's going to work out for them, hopefully, so far. Jingwei being picked up by the Papis, not really wanting to deal with the Cupid, which I'm assuming is going to go for this ADC role, but could be picked into the mid lane. Could still be picked into mid lane. Well, as soon as I said comedic timing, once again,
Merlin
there's the
ADC.
Merlin.
Could be Merlin ADC, but
I mean,
I don't think it is going to be. It has to be Cupid ADC.
Listen, Merlin gets those extra damaging auto attacks after casting a spell. He's the perfect ADC. You slap a Polynomicon on there, perfect ADC. Tsukiyomi's going to get picked up finally here from the Snake Pit to round up the team comp, and I quite like that comp here, AJ.
I like it as well. It's very single target focused, but does have a tiny bit of AoE thanks to the Cupid and the Guan Yu. And Merlin also does have that AoE, but it's a bit more limited to his Void stance if he goes into Ice or Fire. More specifically, it's more single target focused. So they do have that flexibility about them. Merlin and Tsukiyomi together can do quite a bit of damage to just that one single target, but don't really have the ways of getting onto the Thoth themselves. Cthulhu is an odd pick here for the Papis, though, because historically it's been a weak pick for them. Whenever they've taken it up into the solo lane, it's one that they've lost with more often than they won with, and doesn't particularly do well against the Guan Yu. Remember, when you go into that Descend into Madness, you're big, you're beefy, you're tanky, you have loads more health. Guan Yu just says, how about if you didn't have all of that?
Yeah, how about if I take those protections myself instead, and then you don't have them, I have them, and then I kill you? It kind of plays into Creed's style. He likes these Guardians, as I said earlier, but he leans typically more towards the Sobex and the Jing Chens. But we'll have to see how it works out as we double backflip into this game right here. Game number 1 between Snake Pit and Papis. Let's pop it off.
So far, nothing jumps out as out of the ordinary. I suppose, actually, maybe Terran pick up the Hog for himself in solo lane. Looking to just try and get a bit more of an advantage over there, just get into the lane quicker. Doesn't have the health chalice, so overall is down 1 potion compared to Creed. And because he doesn't have that chalice, will always be down potions, with Creed being able to refill that up every single time he backs to base. Both of them going in for the Warrior's Blessing, though, so should just be an even trade out in lane.
Potentially speaking, that nice, big, wide Maya that Creed has is going to be a really decent poking tool for Terror Rim, and it also will root him in place, which could limit
this is a full-on invade.
No, it's not. There's no way.
It is. Look at this. 16, so 3 seconds till minion spawn. They're looking for a fight. Draco Marino gets hit first by the stun. Spudio looking for the hard bomb. It's going to hit it. Remember, this won't stun because there's no base cracks beforehand. Draco Marino forced out. Watch going to wave. They're not looking for the purple buff either, because they know Draco Marino is Hog. They're just looking for the pressure. This is
a very, very interesting start from Snake Pit, really utilizing this early game pressure that they have with the Cupid and the Umoja. It doesn't look like they're going to get any kills over here on the left-hand side, but look at their health bars. They're going to be really, really low for Snake Pit. Well, once those pots have started ticking, that's going to look a little bit better for them, but they're going to be worse off in terms of pot economy, and that could work out well in Snake Pit's favor going forward.
And the fact that both ADCs done at the purple buff works out extremely well for the Cupid. He's looking to clear wave mainly with abilities, he's looking to fight mainly with abilities. Doesn't necessarily need that purple buff to give himself a bit more of attack speed, allow him to clear with basics. And all that pressure leads out to a successful invade because of Worst Turtle's rotation. So that invade strat worked out extremely well for Snake Pit.
It's a double invade as well. You can see the red buff goes down there in favor of Snake Pit. So that's a really huge rotation there. Worst Turtle really taking advantage. Sorry, the whole team taking advantage of this early game pressure. They have Draco Marino this time around. He's looking like he could fall down. As you said, no stun available for him on the second time there. Genetics just a little bit off on the Moonstrike beam, but I mean, the Cyber Elephant is gonna have to return back to base probably very soon, and that's a win for Snake Pit, because if he stays, I'm expecting to see another dash in from Spudio and probably a dead Draco Marino.
Only just hit level 2 have the Papis, and they're finally going to have some safety in lane with their dashes available to them. But Warchi without any beads and Draco Marino without the shell means that they're prime targets for an early rotation once again from Worst Turtle. He's going to have to get a speed buff first, but afterwards I wouldn't be surprised if he makes an early game wraparound along the top side of that map.
Well, either side, really. Look at Creed at the moment, also taking a lot of pressure here from Terra. He's really struggling in this lane at the moment, but on the left-hand side as well, Spudio hot bomb off the mark. That could have led to a kill onto Warchi, especially with that shell down from Draco Marino, but I mean, it's pressure everywhere, and not a second to breathe.
It is, so the pressure's only turned into about 300 gold's worth of lead so far in the first 3 minutes. Not what you're expecting if you have the lead in all 3 lanes. You'd expect them to be setting up for these red buff invades, purple buff invades once again, back camp invades. But Marcus has got that back camp rotation on lockdown on that right-hand side, going over to the left-hand now to secure that red buff and rotate his way over towards that purple buff. So the early game pressure does tell in terms of the minion waves, but it's not told so far in terms of establishing an outright lead here for the Snake Pit.
It is a shame to see that from Worst Turtle, because we complimented him on his rotation not 2 minutes ago. And because of that, his laners were able to get pretty decently ahead, but the invade is coming out here onto the purple buff. The rotation has been made by Worst Turtle, and Draco Marino is already going to fall down, but Finno Evil's going to come in here to try and save the life of his ADC. Warchi does look like he's going to go out, but Marcus has already expended that ultimate, and, well, Snake Pit could have probably looked for the purple buff there, but instead, choosing to concede it. Actually, never mind, they're just backing off, pretending to concede it, letting Marcus come in, waiting to pick it up, and they're going to do just that. Marcus gets baited in, nearly falls down if it wasn't for that jump. And the Papis are going to walk away without a purple buff.
Yeah, so successful invade, successful first kill, and they've done exactly what they needed to do with their pressure. Establish a lead, and what was 300 gold is now looking like 1,300 gold thanks to the first blood bounty and the purple buff invade. Experience slowly creeping up as well, just shy of 1,500, just more than 1,500, sorry. So far, plan going according to the game plan for Snake Pits, as the Papis struggling to find their footing in this game, but they feel like they're still going to have a good shot at it come the late game, thanks to their artillery mage of the Thoth, and that late game might carry the Jing way.
For sure. It's definitely an early game advantage for Snake Pit in terms of their comp. You know, they got Spudio, who's really doing most of his game in the first 15 or so minutes. Worst Turtle, who, well, while he's scary in the late game, it's a lot easier to deal with a Tsukiyomi once you've got your team fight stage online and he can't kind of pick you up individually. Terrorim and Genetics are the two that I'm really looking at alongside Angry to really bring Snake Pit into the late game. Want to see those heals being good, want to see Terrorim doing lots of disruption, want to see Genetics making these huge Riptides, these really big Rivers Rebukes to try and cut them off. But on the flip side, as you said, Marcus, Chekio, Draco Marino, Warchi, and Creed are all really more suited to this late game environment.
Hey, team fights, team fights, team fights. That's exactly what the Papis draft screams to me. Warchi not going to get caught out by that Fields of Love. Gets his dash off just before he gets crippled. So he's going to live to fight another day. Worst Turtle might live to fight another day from this fight. It looks like they're going to go to Chekio. That's who the target is. Marcus going to get hit here as well by the River's Rebuke. Chekio falls down. Marcus falls down thanks to Angry. Warchi gets a return kill. but it could be too little too late for him.
Heart Bomb's going to pop, but he's going to survive with just enough HP, but at 2! Down falls the Jingwei, and, well, Angry should probably grab a Kleenex.
Let's wipe off the little smudge he put onto the battleground with Warchi's dead body there. I mean, 2-0 so far for Angry on the Merlin. Finds himself 2 levels up as well, been left just as an isolated figure in that mid lane, and usually that means the mid laner gets stuck at the tower, unable to rotate, not really able to do much. But for Angry, that's just a normal, everyday game for him, and he's coped well with the pressure that's been put onto him by Chekio and Draco Marino, as well as a bit of rotations from Marcus. And he's found himself with just the pressure by himself. Chekio dashing in, misses the route. Draco Marino looking aggressive as well. Worst Turtle could be the mark here instead.
He's going to fall down thanks to Marcus's overhead smash. Being able to flicker out of that cage is going to be a huge, huge, huge advantage to Angry when they keep trying to go aggressive on him in the late game. I really want to see Fear No Evil kind of come out first to stop Angry from just being able to blink away whenever they try and engage on him. But it's a good kind of foretelling for the kind of things I think Papis should be looking to do going forward.
Absolutely. The Papis, it looks like they may have figured out the pace of the game early enough for them to put up a fight before we get to the roaming stage of the game. That's where the supports, mid laners, and junglers rotate round as a 3, look for kills on the side lanes, look for all these objectives. I'm expecting big things so far, though, out of Marcus, Chekio, and Draco Marino, because their 3v3 is absolutely insane if they're able to get a lockdown onto one of the targets. So you saw Worst Turtle was dead for rights the second he got engaged upon there. Genetics tried his best to get him out, but was just unable to. Papis, up to them, I think, to take the next fight. That's going to happen over on the red buff.
Yeah, it's gonna look like Marcus is jumping in here. Where's the Fear No Evil? I'm waiting for it to come out, but no such luck. Here comes the cage from Ganesh. Worst Turtle forced to ult in response, but he's gonna pull down nice and quickly for Marcus, who's going to in turn fall down just in time for Terrorim to pick up the kill. Creed gonna give a kill to Genetics as well. Draco Marino's gonna taste the knock-up. Angry's getting chased out here by Creed, but looks like he's going to be able to find Sanctuary underneath his tier 2 tower. Creed's going to back off, and now Terrorim just looking to get a little bit more poke onto handsome Squidward.
Now, 2 for 1 for the Papis as they find yet another successful fight for themselves on the red buff. Did not get the red buff itself, as that did go onto the hands of the Snake Pit. They dropped Nose and Color on the ground. And they still didn't manage to kill Angry on the Merlin, though, and that would have been a huge bounty for them. Creed almost managing to do so. Had he been in his ultimate for about 5 more seconds, I have no doubt they would have dove the tower and got the kill onto him. But now sitting at 3 levels ahead is Angry on this Merlin. The central figure for this game by far. But so far, most of this game has been played around him. He's had to rotate to find his influence.
For sure, and it's been quiet, you know. He hasn't been like we saw Johnny from the last couple games where he was popping off, going 14-0-2, going 5-0 by the first 5 minutes, you know. He's been rather quiet, you know. 202, he's still accounting for most of Snake Pit's kills, either in assists or kills himself. But I guess that's kind of more the nature of EU. He's been quiet, but he's been super impactful, and looking at the player damage, you would also think he's pretty quiet. Only 2,000, but it's those 2,000 that count rather than 4,000 that is just slapping in the solo lane.
And this is pretty much a typical Angry game. He sort of doesn't feel like he's the central figure, but he kind of is. And when teams do play like he is the central figure, you notice it, because he gets dove a lot. Watching look like he's going to have to escape there, use his ultimate in retaliation to the Fields of Love, and that's just a trade you're going to be seeing time in, time out. What that does allow, though, is it allows for the jungler of the Snake Pit to come over and gank onto Watchy a lot more successfully. One of the big reasons you don't see junglers come over and gank Jingwei is because just the raw safety they have with their dash and their ultimate. But the ultimate gone, opens up the window for more successful opportunities for a kill.
Sure, and while I think Worst Turtle isn't necessarily a jungler who's too concerned about that, so the dashes from the ultimate lasers do still hit Watchy in his ult and can follow him after the fact if he falls down. So, like, in general, I completely agree with you, but I think Worst Turtle isn't too concerned about that, but for sure it will definitely make his life a whole lot easier when he doesn't have to expend that ultimate, instead just potentially dropping the Caltrops and running it down.
One of the things he will find difficult about going over and ganking on that side is the fact that he has gone for beads rather than blink. So he still might have to expend that ultimate just to close that distance initially, but he has to wait for Warchi to dash to begin with. And maybe it's the fact that he does not have that blink available, which is why he's tending to be looking for the farms and fights more so in the mid lane, rather than looking to try and gank over on these side lanes.
Absolutely. And conversely, Marcus, he's also been fairly quiet, 2-2-2 at the moment, so he's accounting for 100% of the kill participation from the Papis. But still haven't really seen him make a huge impact so far. We've seen him get a kill and then get traded out both times he's gotten one, so definitely be hoping to see a little bit more from him, looking to see him combine with the mid laner a little bit more, hoping that Chekio can attempt to lead these final judgments into the path of the inner evil, as Warchi's going to get stunned out here and forced to ult away in response to the Fields of Love yet again.
Brilliant play by Spudia, though, to utilize the low health minions just to get that stun off instantly rather than it being one that you just go, right, there's going to be a stun here in about 2 seconds, you better move or you will get stunned. Okay, and here's the stun. So just tries to force him to use the beads a bit earlier rather than using that ultimate. Unsuccessful though, Warchi holds onto it, good discipline with that relic usage. Means that he's, again, still safe in this lane, well, as safe as he can be.
And I think that's one of the cornerstones of Papis' draft at the moment, is that all these characters are safe, right? Warchi, super mobile, able to get away from things, comes back to lane really easily. Chekio's got a huge dash that's on a relatively short cooldown, all things considered, and comes with free heal if he's trying to get away from someone. Marcus drops the Fear No Evil, drops away. Creed is super tanky in his ult. They all really have these tools to escape or be safe when engaging, or are able to come back relatively quickly when being poked out. And I think Snake Pit are really playing smart into that by just not giving them a second to breathe.
They are sort of giving them time to breathe, though, by not pushing their foot onto the gas fully. They're allowing them time to get their buffs, allowing them time to get their builds online, to get wards out, to defend these objectives should they look to try and do them. It's not been the cutthroat sort of game that I expected from Snake Pit from that start that they did. When they went ahead and invaded on the purple buff at level 1, I was expecting them to attempt Gold Furies at minute 7, attempt Fire Giants at 18 minutes into the game, really put Papis into a decision-making game where they had to constantly think minute in, minute out. But so far, it's just been a bit more plain sailing, a bit more passive from this composition. And I don't know, is that just come down to the fact that Wurstel has gone into the beats Aegis rather than looking for a blink? Are they a bit more fearful of this Hombats than they were initially looking to believe so?
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. It's kind of disappointing. We did touch on it when buffs were first starting to respawn, that it's kind of disappointing to see Worst Turtle not attempt for a re-invade here over on this left-hand side. But speaking of the left-hand side, Marcus, looking for a gank of his own, is getting spotted out here by the support, so is instead just going to stop for the Elder Harpy, but he's going to back off. He's making his presence known.
Still got something out of it, just manages to take away a tiny bit of gold, give Warchi something. Although he doesn't share the Alpha Harpy with Warchi, so it's just a lead for himself rather than for himself and Warchi. But he's still looking for the gank. Still has his blink up and available, but just not pulling the trigger quite yet because of the turnaround potential of genetics, and Spudio's ultimate together will force his beads very quickly.
Absolutely, and here comes the River's Rebuke trying to catch something out, but both players are going to be able to escape relatively easily, so a little bit of an interesting pop-up from my playbook at the very least, but oh well, could just be trying to create that space that Spudio needed.
Chekio unable to hit those hieroglyphic assaults, and don't forget, if you hit hieroglyphic assault onto somebody on the enemy team, it reduces the cooldown by 1 second. So hit all 3 seconds off the cooldown, build 40% CDR, it's pretty much back up immediately. Worst Turtle is going to use that Alpha CC immunity as out comes the Cage of Death, and overall trade, I think that goes in favor of the Papis.
Absolutely, I think expending Ganesh Cage to stop Worst Turtle's only real in tool, right? Like, well, not real in tool, but as you said, sometimes he just needs to pop that ult to get in, to close that initial amount of space, especially without Blink. So I'm super happy with that trade. It also gives everyone on the map a little bit of a breather, right? Like, if I'm If I'm Warchi, if I'm Chekio, if I'm Creed, I'm not thinking, oh god, laser beams could erupt from the jungle at any moment.
And something to point out is that Worst Turtle has gone for a bit of an orthodox build from what we've seen most Tsukiyomis go for. He's gone in for the sledge as his third item. Most Tsukiyomis have gone in for just a full power, immediately squishy, I die or you die sort of build. But Worst Turtle's looking to sacrifice a bit of damage on his own end, not going to have as much penetration available to him. Gold Fury's not going to matter about that, though, as the rest of it's getting shredded by Angry and Spudio. Papis arrived just in time.
They drop it a little early for my taste, but it could definitely be around this fight. Chekio is being forced out by Terrorim, but he's going to be able to escape with his life. Luckily for him, Snake Pit erupting into this mid lane here, trying to find an angle to pick up a kill. Warchi could be that target, as Terrorim's Tallow assaulting him pretty low, but Warchi is going to be able to back off and, in fact, back. Now it's going to be Terrorim and Worst Turtle looking to create some space while the rest of Snake Pit look to pick up the Gold Fury. Draco Marino and Marcus trying to come in though. Free just waiting behind these caltrops, and as soon as they fade, he's going to start looking to walk in now. Terrorim's still trying to cause this space, and Gold Fury is at half HP. Snake Pit are really indecisive. They're not really dedicating themselves to either the fight or the Gold Fury, and, well, at the end of the day, they're just going to back away.
They know that they can win a team fight, but not willing to risk it against the Papis, just because the insane AoE damage that comes out from them. If they get caught in a 3, 4, 5-man Fear No Evil, they can kiss goodbye to the Gold Fury, to any team fight that happens afterwards, but with everybody just running away from the Papis, Snake Pit immediately sneaking away, and Gold Fury, for the first time, opens up a lead for Snake Pit.
Terrum's going to be just fine here, escaping on good old faithful horse. But Papis look like they could be hankering for some revenge, as this tier 1 tower in mid is looking on about 1/3 HP. And Papis are feeling pretty hungry, so they're going to consume that tower and potentially look to pick up a Pyromancer as well. And I'll be honest, if it's a tower and a Pyro, I got to give this to the Papis. I think that's probably a better trade for just plain old Lemon Fury.
I do agree with that, especially given the amount of pressure that can be gone on for not having that mid tower, because you don't have that safety net to defend the gold and fire giant from. You have to go all the way back to your towers in the side lane. Worst Turtle going to get canked here by Marcus, as Worst Turtle takes away his speed buff, and Marcus almost dies himself. Worst Turtle probably going to be the one to fall here. Marino looking for one last shot, but Chekio gets him with the hieroglyphic assault through that glyph of pain. And Marcus lives to fight again another day.
Any other mage doesn't get that kill. I don't think any other mage gets that kill. I think Tsukiyomi's out if it's not for both there. That beautiful range there on the hieroglyphic assault, in my opinion, is what took him down.
I mean, I think if it was any other mage, Draco Reno just drops the party square, and all of a sudden there's a kill gifted to whoever mage Chekio's playing.
Yes.
Fire Giant, though, is still on the map. 5-5 read the kills, 19 minutes into the game. Game still pretty even at this stage, about 1,000 gold in it. Ward coverage, though, is lacking for both teams as Spudio drops the ultimate. Warchi does so in return. Warchi, though, not looking healthy.
No, he's nearly taken down there by Spudio. One of these days, he's not going to quite be able to make it up into the sky, and he's going to fall down to the heart bomb at the tail end of that airstrike. But that day is not today. He's going to manage to ding level 17 there to meet his counterpart on the other team. But I think so far it's, even though it is looking very, very even in terms of just comfort, I think the Snake Pit are comfortable enough with the small lead that they have.
They certainly look like they're the ones that are creating the opportunities into this game. It's almost as if the Papis are the ones still reacting to everything that the Snake Pit are doing. If the Gold Fury gets taken, okay, we'll react with the mid-tier 1 and the Pyromancer. Okay, he's evaded onto our speed buff. We'll react by getting a kill onto him. Spudio's just ulted Warchi for the 5th time. Okay, we'll react by getting some pressure over there with Marcus. And there's not been that sort of same push and pull from the Snake Pit with the Papis doing anything. It's all been reactive play. And whilst that's okay for compositions that run well into the late game, I just feel Papis play a lot better when they're the ones that are making those decisions.
For sure, and like, I think it's a bit of a weird spot for them to be in, as over here on the left-hand side, Draco Marino getting forced out after popping his ultimate. but Snake Pit are just going to back away. But I completely agree with you, and it does feel kind of awkward that despite only being 1,000 gold behind, the Papis, like, it feels like the Snake Pit are winning this game, right? Like, if I'm just judging by the general vibes, Snake Pit are definitely, like, controlling, as you said, the pace. They're deciding when and where. And
if you were to hide the golds come out to the top, just keep the fact that it's 21 minutes into the game, 5-5, just the positioning of everybody, how the game's been going on for the past 2 minutes, I would wager that Snake Pit had about a 4,000 gold lead. Not enough to really get themselves into Fire Giant position, but just enough that makes Papis more fearful of stepping into the wrong place.
And I would not bet against you. I would back that horse wholeheartedly. It just really feels like Snake Pit are, well, there are only so many times I can say it, but controlling this game. And what kind of things do we need to see from Papis to kind of change that around?
Well, we need to see them not get hit by a Soul Gem Vortex from Angry, as Chekio eats 1/5 of his health. Bicarino eats not too much. The group up coming up from Snake Pit looking to trade out that mid tower for the one that was taken earlier. And without any real grouping from the Papis outside of Marcus and Draco Marino, looks like that is going to be taken for free. Warchi joins the party too little too late as Creed makes his way out from base. And just a free tower there. Extra gold towards the Snake Pit just to extend that lead a tiny bit more.
Papis are feeling a little bit limp for me at the moment. Like, they took the Pyromancer, and Pyromancer can give you so much pressure around the map as Creed, speaking of pressure, is pressured into his ultimate there. Not going to be available for that next fight. Snake Pit are going to be looking into that, but what I was looking to say is Pyromancer can give you so much pressure across the map, and Papis just didn't really do anything with it. Not really taking any pressure here, there, or wherever, as Snake Pit looking to start up Primal Fury here. Papis, once again, not really in much of a position to do anything about it, and yeah, Snake Pit are going to take this absolutely 100% scot-free, and Papis looking to potentially move over to this Fire Giant is getting pinged out by Snake Pit, so they're expecting them to be over here on this right-hand side, and they're going to rotate over. Looks like Marcus and Creed were looking at the Pyro, but Cool's going to be, hey guys, they're coming right, we don't have time.
Hey, Warchi, they knew he was over on that left-hand side, knew we didn't have time to get back to that Pyromancer quickly, so they knew they couldn't do it fast enough. Draco Marino, his life is going down fast enough for the side of the Snake Pit to worry about. Spodio picks up the kill to kick this fight off and end it at the same time.
Well, that's going to be devastating news for the Papis. Not only do they lose their support, but they also lose the Dharmic Pillars, which are so good at controlling these team fights and where they're going to happen, which, well, a tool that they haven't really been using too much for this game, but thanks to that pickup, Snake Pit are going to be able to get the stuff after the stuff in the Pyromancer. And, well, looking back at the graphs, they've just changed their 1.5k lead to a 2.5k lead in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, and the experience difference has followed an upward trend throughout the entirety of the game. Just a few divots completely counted again, just going over that 5,000 experience mark. But that's going to mean a lot less when 4 members of Snake Pit are level 20, and it's just genetics that need to get that rest of experience.
Looking, well, it's at a place in the game, right, where the Papis are starting to go, okay, right, well, experience isn't really going to matter. It's going to be more on the gold. As you said, it's only the supports here who are sat just below level 20, that and Marcus, who's just waiting to ding that final level himself. So we'll have to see what they do when that comes around. But look at this beautiful Rivers reveal. Chekio has no place to Cheki go other than back. But no damage being able to be put out onto him there. He's going to escape with his life. Creed now takes to the ultimate, is able to get a couple big knock-ups off there with that 2 in the ultimate form. Pararim looking to run away. Charging the final judgment is Chekio, but probably acknowledging he doesn't have the damage to really do any impacting injuries to the Snake Pit. He's going to cancel it, not using it there. And why does it still feel like the Snake Pit won that fight?
Because they did. They forced Chekio out early. They managed to get They managed to get Terror out, which is a big, big win for them. He's already back up to full health thanks to the healing coming out from himself and Genetics. Marcus, not going to take any further part in this fight. It just gets obliterated by Worst Turtle.
No.
I think Worst Turtle is going in. Draco Marino forced down to Angry. And indeed, Worst Turtle does indeed go in, looking for Marcus, but he just jumps away at the right time. Out comes the Beams of Death, and that should spell the end for the Monkey.
I mean, obliteration is probably the right word there, as Draco Marino just ceases to exist. Now, Chekio here in the mid tower getting dove.
That's good
Final
damage.
Judgment is going to do some decent damage to both of these players here. Watching Chekio now on the assault. Spuddy on the right-hand side, though, conversely getting Creed. But the Soul Laner and Jungler from the Snake Pit are going to be able to escape with their lives. And Fire Giant goes down once again. Scott-free. Papis just showing no objective presence this game at all.
Week 1 was a stuttering start. This is them just failing to get into gear at this point. I mean, sure, 1, 2... Like I said, that can be chalked up to just a bad start. But this is sloppy. This is them sleeping at the wheel. This is not the same Papis that we're used to seeing week in, week out in phases 2 and 3 especially. It's reminiscent of phase 1 Papis. Ones that just never really looked like they were going to get into the game from the offsets and just always playing on that back foot.
And it's really, really weird. You know, we always talk about Papis as they'll either be really far ahead early, or they'll be behind when one team fight super convincingly turn around and win the game, right?
Yeah.
Or if they're really, really having a bad day, they will lose. But, like, this just feels different. You know, like, you took the words straight out of my mouth. It's a completely different team than what we're used to watching, and it feels uncomfortable.
And for me, the impact just doesn't seem to have been there this game from Marcus and Chekio especially. I mean, Warchi, bless him, there hasn't been really much he could have done outside of the laning phase. But Chekio and Marcus, they were incredibly passive with gods that almost scream to me that you need to play aggressive. With Thoth, you need to be utilizing the fact that you get cooldown off your one from poking people out. With Hombats, you need to be utilizing that Fear No Evil time in, time out, especially if you're going to be going into this Hydra's Lament early on. And it's a stark performance again from what we've seen to them play earlier today before the SPL broadcast, where they get a 2-0 against Hawks Hotel.
Yeah, and if we can have a look at the player damage right now, I do want to see what Papis have been doing with his high poke comp. So you can see Chekio is definitely doing it, but not quite working out for him as in and out goes Snake Pit, trying to get some damage onto this Phoenix here on the left-hand side. They aren't going to be able to do it, and they've got plenty of recovery to just keep coming out like Genetics. He's the Waves. Terror now going in. Rivers Rebuke looking to find Chekio, but he does manage to dash out just in time to avoid it. Now charging up that final assault. Creed dashes in, try and separate out those players. It's going to work out for him for now, but once again, Snake Pit, like the Waves, they come out, they heal up, and look at this, they're going to go back in, and now in the mid lane, we're going to see a two-pronged attack as Tsukiyomi is going to be squaring up to Marcus here, try and take down this mid Phoenix.
As we saw earlier, Worst Turtle incredibly capable of winning that 1v1, even without ultimate usage. So this is a bit of a mismatch for them in that mid lane. Terran going to create as much space as possible, and Creed's going to do the exact same onto Angry. And Warchi's joining him thanks to that, passive coming out of the Jing Wei, and Creed managed to kill Angry. This is the turnaround for the Papis.
This could be the one team fight that we were talking about. Worst Turtle getting melted here as well. Terran could be next to find him. Genetics is the only one to be able to pick up a kill here in this fight, as he's going to be able to take down the ADC. And now Papis are able to pick up 4. Genetics last man standing. Now they could be looking to run it down mid here. Pick up this tier 2 tower. Pick up potentially a Phoenix. Maybe look for a tier 2 tower in the right lane as well. But Genetics, really, really well played from him here. He's pushing up these waves, making sure Papis aren't going to have an easy time taking the Phoenix. But I think they're still going to be able to pick it up regardless.
They're going to get the tier 2. They might be able to get the Phoenix. Angry up in 15. I think that's going to be the one respawn timer that they are really worried about. And it looks like they are a bit too worried about it, especially with Genetics being there available to them, as well as the fact that he has that ultimate available to Genetics. So it's just going to be a back off here. Gold Fury, the much safer call, much more resilient call here from the Papis. Look at just play this game a bit further out. If they did get the Phoenix, it wouldn't have really mattered with the lead that Snake Pit do find themselves with. and there's too many towers up to really threaten the Titan.
So here it is, right? We were talking earlier about how Papis seem like a different team. I mentioned how we always kind of look for them to win this one team fight and then win the game. That's their team fight. If they can't find their way back into this game after that fight, then they lose. But this is the Papis, and I think they've got a good chance of doing exactly that.
They do, and it just came off the back, though, of Creed. It's the one pick that I wasn't really a big fan of when it came to the Papis draft, one that they historically haven't done well on, and it's the one that gets them right back into the thick of things in this game. Big pressure came out from Creed, and the rapid reincarnation passive from Warchi's Qingwei just gets him bypassed from the amount of zoning space that Terran was giving them, from the amount of space that Genetics was providing. Worsettle was all the way back in mid, so just gives him a bypass to go onto Angry and Spudio, and the Hunter and Solo Laner from Papis get it done in that team fight.
Papis definitely did what they needed to do there, right? Like, they needed to get Snake Pit too spread out. They just have too much healing, even with the anti-heal. It's so much, and it's still going to be impactful, but I'll have to see if they can do that again here in this fight. Is Creed going in already? Looking a little sloppy at half HP, and thanks to that River's Rebuke, he's going to get pinned in the corner there, taking a little bit too much damage. Now, health bars are looking low on both sides, but Papis definitely taking the worst of it. They're going to back off and lick their wounds, but unlike Snake Pit, they don't have unlimited healing.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword there. They lose the fight, and they're going to lose the sustained battle afterwards as well. All of them have to back to Fountain to get that sweet, sweet healing. While the rest of the Snake Pit, they can do it because they've got a walking fountain known as Umoja and Guan Yu healing. They've put them all back up to full health already. Mana bar's looking full as well. So it's almost as if they went back to base 2. They just got back here about 10 seconds sooner than the Papis did.
And with that time advantage, they are going to be able to start up the Fire Giant. This is Enhanced Fire Giant, though. Not going to be quite as easy as they might like for them to be able to pick it up. Genetics is doing a decent job of tanking it, but look over there on the top side. Marcus nearly gets taken down there by Worst Turtle, but he's going to be able to escape. But look at this. Final Judgment, not quite in time. A second off from Chekio, and that is going to secure the second Fire Giant of the game firmly into the hands of the Snake Pit. River's not quite coming out as impactfully as maybe they would hope. Genetics not quite hitting the mark this time around. Now Warchi flying in, trying to do some damage. Genetics could be in some trouble here. Gets rooted there by the Maya. Dashing in his Creed, but a nice pull in from the Merlin is going to stop any momentum that he might have. Now up into the ult goes Creed. This is what he needs. Angry pops the beats to prevent him from getting flinked on. But Marcus is going to use that Fear No Evil. He's going to fall down. I'm not really sure if Papis can finish up any more kills here, but that's a decidedly big win for Snake Pit, I think.
Big win for Snake Pit, sure, but a minor victory there for the Papis as they take off a few relics of choice. Only two stats, sorry, and one of them is on a dead person, as Angry eats a 40-second plus respawn timer. They get one of the huge picks that they needed, one of the 2 picks that I'd say is vital for the Papis to survive onslaughts onto these Phoenixes in the form of Angry. Takes only a second death of the game. That's probably one of Angry's biggest weaknesses as a player. Is the fact that whenever the going gets tough and the rest of the team is on full retreat, he always seems to find himself isolated, the last person out of those team fights, and always going away from the rest of the team. Almost like he is basically saying, let them kill me, you guys get out for free, that'll be fine. And whilst in some situations that's advantageous, at other times it can lead to a very awkward situation for your team where they're left without their wave clear to defend on these towers.
Definitely not the kind of look that you want from your mid laner, right? It's beautiful to be self-sacrificing, but save that for the support, save that for the solo laner. They're not the ones who are going to be really reliant on for these damaging plays that we really need to see from the Snake Pit if they're going to not box their way back into this game. They definitely haven't lost the control of the pace, but they're looking a little bit stumbly now as Papis are looking to find their feet a little bit harder.
And Snake Pit, they're going to utilize the rest of their Fire Giant to wait around at the Oni Fury. This isn't a call I particularly like from them. The Fire Giant only lasts for another 1 minute 35 seconds. Fury respawns in 20 of those. So they're looking about a minute with the Oni Fury minions plus the Fire Giant. And in that time, that's how long it takes the minions to get up from the base all the way to the Titan. So they're going to have wasted the rest of the Fire Giant with just waiting for the Oni minions to get up there. So I like the call that they've done now instead. Just ignore the Oni Fury, go for the Phoenixes instead.
They're definitely putting the pressure onto Papis. It's what we've seen from them all game, and they're doing really, really well at it once again. Checkio, though, Papis have one of probably the best defensive comps you could ask for.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they're not too upset about having to turtle under Phoenixes. They got plenty of poke. They got plenty of disruption. If they try and dive them, Marcus is going to pop that Fear No Evil. Creed is going to jump up into the ult and start knocking people up. That's going to be very, very scary for Snake Pit to try and siege. So we're really going to need to see them potentially take a pick or even do enough damage. Just look at this poke already. Genetics falling about a third, losing about a third of his HP. But as you said, Walking Fountain are him and Terran. He's going to heal up pretty quickly here. Not really looking too worse for Wen.
I like the adjustments that Snake have done as well. Last time's 4-1 split didn't work out too well for them, so get Terran over to that mid lane, just to put a bit more pressure onto that mid Phoenix, force somebody else out over there. But with Fire Giant wearing off in about 7 seconds, they feel like, well, with that last Winnie Wave going in, it's over, it's done. We can't get those Phoenixes. Back off, time to retreat, get that Omni Fury we were looking at earlier, and get onto the Fire Giant once more. But 37 minutes into the game, everyone's level 20, everyone's pretty much full build. It's an even game once again, and Papis can now start to crawl out of their shell.
For sure, they can definitely look to get back into this driver's seat now that we really have not seen them in at all this game. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to look to do. Worst Total doing a really, really smart play here and picking up that Pyro, going to allow his team to rush back to the positions that they need to be as the Fire Giant, which is going to be the next big point of contention, respawns in just 20 seconds.
Yeah, ward coverage is going to be key here. As you can see, wards stacked up in the inventories of the Snake Pit, whilst in the Papis, one social ward gets placed on a Fire Giant, 2 remain in the inventory, and that's about it. This is an interesting play from Genetics.
He's potentially looking to build up a
he's
big
wave stacking.
wave. Yeah, so he's trying to stack up another wave with the Oni minions here to create a kind of super wave to put pressure on that left side Phoenix, which, I mean, hey, that's a really good strategy when you're going for a Fire Giant because it's on the complete other side of the map, which means it takes the longest for one of these Papis players to react if they want to go and clear that wave. So we'll have to see how that works out for them as the Fire Giant Tango starts up again.
I think that those pings have come out from the Papis. They know exactly what the game plan here is. Just wait for that super wave pressure to get up towards that Phoenix, then look to instigate a fight on the Fire Giant if no one's gone over there at that point. If you're sitting anybody back, it's probably going to be Warchi as he's going to be able to come back with that rapid reincarnation. Great Rivers Rebuke stops the engagement from Creed there. Genetics reading that play like a book.
That was absolutely beautiful. I don't think Angry survives right there, honestly.
No.
If there's no Rivers Rebuke from Genetics, his beads were popped, the flicker was down, the big angry squid was bearing down on him, and no. Genetics just says no.
There's Warchi. Warchi's gone back to clear out that wave with that rapid reincarnation. We'll be back at that fight A-okay, so a good engage from the Papis forces an early engagement from Snake Pit, which means that the Fire Giant isn't been taken as quickly as they could have done, with the fact that Warchi is not available. Worst Turtle's also not there, so a 4 versus 4 presents itself here. Worst Turtle looking to just get Warchi away from this fight.
Interesting play from Worst Turtle. I feel like Warchi should have backed and then used the rapid reincarnation to fly to the Fire Giant fight straight away instead of kind of meandering through the lane. And it's going to give Snake Pit a lot of time here to try and do some stuff. But look at this, Worst Turtle trapping around the back now. Can he find a kill? Rivers Rebuke is keeping Draco Marino in. Marcus on the other side is going to try and do some stuff over himself. Laser beams are going to come through. Damage is going to be good onto Marcus. He's going to fall down to about a third of his HP, and the Papis are on full retreat now. And once again, we talk about it every single time a fight breaks out. Papis have to back to base if they're low. Snake Pit stay right where they are thanks to that healing, and now Fire Giant already looking on half HP. Papis looking to re-engage.
They're looking to stop the Segi. Fire Giant down at half health. 4-man grouping over on the left-hand side of the Fire Giant pit for the Snake Pit. Wrapping around the right-hand side, as usual, is Worst Turtle. Has beads. No Aegis available to him for the next 2 minutes, but should be A-okay thanks to that Magi's cloak. He's picked himself up. But just a few members of Papis is all it's taken for the Snake Pit to give up the ghost on this objective. There's a few backs, buy some items, buy some more wards from the rest of the Snake Pit.
It seems fairly slow from both of these teams, right? Snake Pit, once again, is in this position where they're not really willing to commit to either the fight or the objective, right? They want to start up this fire giant, and then puppies are coming in, and they're going, okay, well, we got to drop it, and we should probably fight the puppies as well. Instead of what I really want them to do, which is, okay, the puppies are coming in now, let's drop the fire giant and just kill the puppies, then come back onto the fire giant. Or even just commit onto the fire giant, which, well, it looks like they're once again half in, half out. As the squishies go one way, the tanks go another.
It's going to be a commit.
Looking to re-engage.
Just Spuddy on the fire giant, has to leash it as Marcus finds his way and blinks in. Out comes Creed's on him as well. They're looking for Spuddy. Spuddy's almost dead straight away. Kareem looking to catch up with him, and now comes to knock up the Aegis. It's going to save him for the time being, but Spuddy is the first casualty.
And Marcus looks like he could be looking for an early grave himself, but it's actually Worstout who's going to be the next target, forced to beads. And the pin onto the wall should be good enough to take the life of the jungler. Kree picks up number 2 for himself. And with that space, 2 plays down, I think Papis actually have the opportunity to pick up the fire giant here. But no, 2 of the members are going to back to base, and Creed is going to look to de-ward it, but not necessarily take it. And I don't think they're going to be able to do anything with this space at this point.
They can do, but they're still so worried about the damage coming out from Angry. If we can have a look at the player damage, he's certainly going to be sitting, I think, on top of the Snake Pit. And once again, he is second in player damage only to Chekio. So that amount of raw power coming out from that mid lane mage is still going to be a huge cause of concern. Marcus just takes 1 tick, takes a fair chunk of his HP from that ice ability already.
Well, Fire Giant and half HP, but in comes the Snake Pit to ward Papis off of it. River's Rebuke is going to be good to cause some disruption, but once again, nothing really being committed either way as the Pyromancer is finally being settled on by Papis, which should help them mitigate this whole they have healing and we have to back problem, as they are going to be able to get back to the Fire Giant a lot faster. But if they all just back away like this, it could give Snake Pit the advantage they need, as Terram is going to clear away the ward vision. Papis are nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, the Papis are... They're playing the risky game by all backing at the same time there. Spuddy had respawned, Worst Turtle was coming up in just a second. All of them go back to base, giving a wide open opportunity for a team with 1 Primal Fury behind them to take an objective. Certainly not a decision I would take. I would stagger back to that point, just look to reset carefully to make sure they can't sneak away the Fire Giant like they've tried to do in the past. But they get away with it once again. 43 minutes into the game, 10-12 lead the kills in favor of the team that feels like they are behind. The Papis, once again, setting up for the defensive stop here.
Yeah, it kind of almost feels like Papis are needing to go for the steal. You know, like, it feels like they're setting themselves up to steal rather than to just take the Fire Giant or take the fight. You know, their positioning is very far back. They're not really willing to commit anything. Chekio hasn't altered even when the fight is broken out, which... that's the biggest giveaway to me, that Chekio is really clinging to Final Judgment. He does not want to fire it at all.
He's being very conscious of the fact that the second that ultimate gets fired off and there's no damage coming out from it, that the Snake Pit is just going to turn on the turbo thrusters for the fight and just full on engage, no mercy whatsoever, just constantly pick people off, because that's a big 2,000 damage per person ultimate off the table with no results whatsoever. Marcus a bit late to this fight as he's still in that mid lane. Bit of poke goes on the way of the Papis. The Snake Pit once again, full health, full mana.
Both teams are very, very spread out here, and it's not really conducive to a good fight, as no team is really able to follow up off of each other if they get a decent hit. Genetics is here on one side in the center with the squishies behind him. Worst Turtle's on the other, which is ideal for the jungler, yes, but Terram is off on his own over here on the right-hand side, and it looks like Papis are kind of mirroring that sentiment, but now with the Papis positioning being so far back, Snake Pit could potentially once again look to engage up upon this shiny giant.
Unusual choice here from Marcus to go into a Malice as one of his items. Doesn't have anything else in terms of crit in his build, so he's not going to be able to get as many procs as he could. In fact, he's going to have the lowest chance of procs, given he's only just got that Malice. But he is looking for extra CDR onto his ultimate. So he's looking to just try and stay in these fights for as long as possible, just to make as much use of that malice as possible. I just don't know if it's going to be as successful as he wants it to be.
Yeah, it is a bit of a strange pickup. Maybe if he really wants to go for it, swap out... What would you get rid of here? The hi-rez, I guess, kind of has the similar effect that you want from crit, right? Like, he's looking to capitalize off of his passive with that hi-rez, so if he wants to use the malice more effectively, maybe pick up a Deathbringer instead of that, but even then, it is a super weird pickup here as Marcus is forced to blink out by the River's Rebuke.
That is a big win, and Draco feels like he has to get something done for his team. Gets the flicker away from Angry, but he needs one take of the ultimate, but that leaves Genetics in a hole by himself.
Well, you say by himself, but Worst Turtle's here wrapping around the side. He could be caught out by Warchi here, but Genetics looking to heal up the rest of his team alongside the little dumplings from Spudio. Gonna keep his team well fed and well rested. So once again, it's just a fire giant fight. It's just a fire giant dance. They come in, they come out, a little bit of poke. There's just nothing committed. Where is the breaking point for these two teams?
It just has to be one person gets caught out a tiny bit too much out of position, and the fight just ensues from there. So far, it's just been, oh, you're out of position, you got poked, okay, I'm backing off, I'm safe with the rest of my team, okay, we won't chase anymore. And the Snake Pit are the team that's more out of position than the Papis have been. But they've got that extra healing, thanks to the fact that they've got two healers on their team, but this could be the breaking point here.
It might not matter if Worst Turtle gets picked up, forced to beat and Aegis, but the rest of his team are behind him to help support. Look at the healing though, Worst Turtle, it's like he wasn't even hit, look at him! One or two more of those, and he's going to be right back up to full, and Papis giving so much space, especially now with Chekio back to base. If anyone on Snake Pit caught that out, which, by the looks of things, they might have done. They're looking to start off the Fire Giant now. Angry, being used as a secondary spacing tool, looking to zone people away with these big AoEs, but now they're looking for the engage. Warchi already falling low. Here comes the River's Rebuke. Forced to airstrike away is Jing Wei. Out he goes, but Marcus is going to be the first one to fall, and that could be the breaking point we've been looking for. Draco Mourinho now, looking like he's going to fall down too. He's going to do just that. Angry picks up number one for himself. Creed looks to do some spacing, but not really going to matter when there's nothing he can do by himself. Two members down for Papis, and now the only hope I think they have is Chekio stealing this EFG. Creed once again looking to come in, but now Snake Pit finally deciding they want to commit to this. Creed looking like he could get caught out. Four members of Snake Pit looking to go in. Spudio still just chipping away at this Fire Giant though.
Final judgment did come through from Chekio, but not enough to kill anybody. Good space created there by that cavalry charge, and finally, after what seems like 3 days of a Fire Giant dance, it finally falls down. Creed almost falls down as well. Angry over the wall with the ice abilities. Not going to be able to find Creed as he's over the other side of the tower. But 48.5 minutes in, the third Fire Giant falls down for the Snake Pit, and it feels like this could be drawing to a close as the Papis still waiting for the respawns of Marcus and Draco Marino.
They spent 20 minutes trying to pick this Fire Giant up. The first down started at 27, and now it looks like they could finally be looking to end. Chekio falls down very quickly there. Angry takes credit for the kill. Creed up into the ult, he goes. Warchi is going to be able to survive though, as down falls Creed as well. Double kill for Terror, and Marcus looks to jump away, but it's not going to matter when the rest of the team is going to collapse onto him. Draco Marino now, the last man left standing. The bird falls, and now all of Snake Pit are going to be raging down onto the Titan. Dharmic Pillars come down. Chaos on a 1/3 HP. They want Draco Marino, but they want the game even more. Game one, finally, after nearly 50 minutes of game, goes the way of the Snake Pit.
Whew, that is a lot to take in there. Just, I don't know, it felt like it was about 3 days on that Fire Giant dance. I don't know about you, but that was exhausting for both players and casters, and anybody watching out there, I feel, can, take a sigh of relief, a breath of relief as the game finally draws to a close. The sustain coming out from the Snake Pit was just far too much for the Papis to handle, and they just wind up losing because of it. Every single time they get somebody to low health on the side of the Snake Pit, they just got back into a safe position, healed up. It's not the same luxury for the Papis.
For sure. We really needed to see them kind of pick up these cursed unks, which Looking at Papis, not a single Unk being picked up there to counter any of the healing. That's it. I can't believe I didn't notice that during the game, but that's the reason the Papis lost. No
No,
Unk.
I mean, for me, it wasn't the in-combat healing, it was the out-of-combat healing that was the issue. And you have a
Right,
look at
right.
the fact that they've got so much in terms of anti-heal with the Brawlers, with the Divine Ruin, the Pestilence. You have a look at the healing stats coming out. 14,000 for Terrorum, 14,000 for Genetics. It's not that high, but most of that is going to be out-of-combat healing. When you have a look at the Cupids as well, Hearts only really uses out-of-combat healing, Creed in-combat healing only of 3,300. Just the big difference maker there.
Right, right. But Unk also causes people to take extra damage when they do heal. So in these fights, when they're trying to back away, when Snake Pit are trying to get out, that's when Papis can really put on the pressure, pop the Unk, make sure that they're doing more damage, and lock down a kill before they're able to escape to get that out of healing, that out of combat healing, which is what I'm trying to get across. I think the lack of Unk really hurt this team for that exact reason. I mean, we kept seeing players escaping with, I mean, not necessarily no health, but they're definitely taking the damage, but they're getting healed enough in the fight to get out, and then they're just healing up after the fact. So I think an Unk and a little bit more willingness from the Papis to go in will probably help them out next game if they have a similar comp.
Yeah, I think that second part is what mainly spelled doom for the Pappies. It was all reactive gameplay. It was all defensive.
Mm.
They had the opportunity to take a Fire Giant when they killed two without trade, and they just get Pyromancer for it. They don't even look to try and bait Snake Pit into a fight. Something has to change in the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know about you, AJ, but I really need a break. And I think
I do
the
too,
players
yes.
might too. So let's have one of those real quick, and we'll jump into game 2 in just a few minutes.
All of your wind has gone, and all of the paths you've drawn have sunk to the ocean sand where no one can see. You stand, don't let the dark embrace, cower the dreams you chase under the rust and blood. Don't let yourself give up.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, after that slow burn of a game one. Let's hope game two is a little bit more snappy.
I mean, you and I said it last week. We were casting until 5 a.m. our time, and we were like, yeah, let's go for round two. This is our, I wouldn't say punishment, but this is what we get for wishing upon it, I think.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, listen, last game was really good. It was really interesting to watch these two teams kind of go back and forth, but I feel like the length was more hesitation from both of these teams, as we were talking about last game, right?
Hmm.
So I want to see a little less fear, a little more confidence in their own abilities, because I feel like both these teams have the potential to win these fights if they go for it.
I mean, the only thing that I would like to see more fear of are fear no evils if Homats is picked up again, because to me, Marcus just felt non-existent that game.
Hmm.
And as we go into these picks and bans, I do want to see him, take something that's just more of, a central figure pick, one that he can look to control the game on, because the Homats just wasn't it.
Absolutely. You know, I only just realized that, but you're right. I don't remember seeing any Fear No Evils that I thought to myself, oh wow, this is really, really
Right?
good. Yeah, like that's crazy to think. I can't think of a single one. I guess he got like a 3-man in the first 10 minutes, but after that, I don't remember seeing any. So that's a really, really
No.
good point.
I mean, and
Yeah.
I think as it came down towards the very end of the game, he was second lowest player damage on his team outside of the supports. And you sort of expect somebody like a home match who's got a big team fight controlling ultimate to be fighting for the
Mm.
second spot just behind either the hunter or the mage, whichever one is, the main focal point, the main carry of that game. This time, just nothing.
Yeah, so in picks and bans for game two, let's hope maybe, well, either we see them pick it up again and Marcus does a little bit better on it, he makes his voice heard a little bit more, or we see Papis move away from it and potentially go for something. Ooh, what would be a good alternative to the Humbart? Something with a big team fight ult, something that can do a lot of disruption, get in and out, maybe a Pele. Camazotz?
Pele, Camazotz could do well. Thor is what I was thinking of if, as you were
Hmm.
describing that, because he does have a good Thor in his god pool. It is one that has been brought out not week in, week out, split in, split out.
Hmm.
It's one that they go to occasionally. Not really built for this meta, I would say, is the Thor, but still does extremely well. We have seen a resurgence of a Wheelix as well. I think a
Hmm.
Wheelix could be a good shout for controlling the early game and then transitioning into more of a facilitator role in that late game.
And we did see Marcus pick up the Awilix during the Challenger Circuit finals last split. So, and he had a very decent showing on it. So, definitely in his pool. But you know what actually really does fit that description to a T? Daji, which Snake Pit are going to ban out there. So maybe a little bit more credence to why this pick has been so heavily banned out by Snake Pit against Puppies.
Could be. It could be that the Pappies, maybe like they are doing right now in the SEC, are just having a dip of form in scrims, and the Daji is something that's brought them back into the
Mm.
previous form that they have gotten, and they're just sort of relying a bit too much on it. Or a lot of the drafts that they have got recently revolve around the Daji. The other option is the fact that it is Angry on the side of the Snake Pit in the mid lane. And Angry likes to
Hmm.
play gods like Kulkin, likes to play gods like Merlin, Isis, and Thoth. All four of those, no CC Immune Ultimate. And what
Hmm.
does Daji do extremely well against? Gods with no CC Immune Ultimates, gods with big giant one-tap ultimates that you put on the ground. And Daji could just escape from all of that and still bring you back into that fight really easily.
That is a really, really good point, and I hadn't put those dots together myself, but you're absolutely right, and probably one of the bigger reasons we see it banned out. So big brain, AJ. There's a reason you're in the second chair.
Huge brain.
That's some giga wrinkled brain right there. A snake pit gonna choose to take away the Cupid away from Warchi and from Chekio.
Oh yeah.
Reasonable stuff. Taking away Marcus's Kali, that's fine. Tsukiyomi being banned out by the Papis, though. I like this ban. I think whilst Turtle didn't have an amazing game, but he definitely didn't have a bad game.
No, I think wherever Worst Turtle went with the Tsukiyomi, it just spelt disaster for the Pappies because
Hmm.
it was in the mid lane, 1v1 against the Humbats, and the Tsukiyomi just came on top. goes up against Warchi on the Jingwei. Tsukiyomi came out on top. Allowed to rotate and roam in around these fights. Tsukiyomi always came out on top. It was helped by the fact that there was the Emoja, which is already banned out as well. So good adaptation so far from the Papis as they pick themselves up a Ram. Again, a nice different pick here that gives them more control over these team fights than what it was with the Jingwei.
But the Snake Pit answering back here with this Capri, it's very early on to be picking Bug Dance Dad. So I'm looking for Papis to potentially draft into an Achilles, a Thanatos, something like that to kind of deal with those revives, because executes do go through those. Make sure that people aren't coming back to life. And against the Wukong, I'm starting to like the Achilles pick even more.
I think if they are going to go for one of them, it has to be the Achilles. I mean,
Mm.
whilst he does have a Thanatos in his God pool, I don't see the Papis taking it up. But I do see, Creed taking Achilles into the solo lane. I do see it doing it kind of well against the Wukong. Struggles for the first 2 levels. The second he gets that Radiant Glory online, it is going to be a bit more of an easy matchup, given the fact that he will have sustain and the Wukong won't. But the Khepri early pick, I don't mind it. They're holding on to something in their draft. They don't want to reveal too much right now, but they know that they want the Khepri in it. So they just take it now before the Papis have a chance to take it themselves, but more importantly, before they get a chance to ban it away in that second banning phase.
I think it's an Anubis.
No.
I think it's an Anubis or some other kind of immobile hunter, or, well, there you go. I was right.
He's not really immobile. He's got a passive.
He's fast, but he doesn't have a solid get out of jail free ability like the Thoth does, like the Rama does, like Wukong. Like he zoom, but he doesn't go. And I think the Khepri
this Ra goes. No, the Ra goes right now. He just leaves a outline of smoke from what he once was as he disappears into the jungle with his full stack passive and fully stacked Doom Orb. And he just suddenly turns up and snipes the enemy ADC the second he goes into the jungle. You're thinking, where the hell did he come from? Oh yeah, he's Ra with this insane amount of movement speed and passive. He is really, really strong right now, and you give him extra movement speed, extra ability to get out, extra ability to, stay in this fight with the Khepri revive. It is a dark look for the Papis so far, as it's a very similar draft to what it was in game number 1. The sustain is reigning supreme here for the Snake Pit. It's just a bit more difficult to come by, a bit less instant. So this gives opportunities for the Papis to get in there and interrupt that out-of-combat healing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Maybe I was a little bit brash in calling Ra immobile. Okay, he does zoom, but my point crystallizes in what we were talking about earlier, in the kind of playstyle that Marcus wants to go for with these big kind of CC ults and angry. When he's on this Ra, if Marcus does pick up the Thor, for example, or even this Cthulhu, who's really, really good at locking people down who don't have a specific movement ability, I think the Khepri is going to be really good. Naja coming out of Marcus.
Okay.
I don't hate this for this comp,
I don't hate it either. I think the Naja is actually a brilliant pickup and could be used in a Galaxy long-haired brain play here.
Long-haired.
Yes, exactly. Similar to game 1, my hair is too long. I know, I get it. So Naja can be... Oh, there's the Thor just on the wrong side. But
there you go.
The Naja can be used to not just take up the Ra to get set up for the Thoth snipe, but can be used to take up the Khepri to deny the Khepri revive on a target that they're just all-inning on the ground. You just deny it for about 3 or 4 seconds, and all of a sudden they come back down, and the Ra is dead before they get a chance to use that Scarab's Blessing.
I'll be really interested to see how the Papis utilize this comp as we jump straight into game number 2 here. Hopefully it won't be as long as the second one, but if it's just as good a quality, then I won't mind too much. So let's have a look-see.
What I would like to see is less of a half of the game where fighting, farming, doing things quite well, and the other half of the game is just, hello, are you there? Yep. Okay, you still at Fire Giant? Yep. Okay, just checking. Okay, bye. We're still here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they started the dance around that last Fire Giant at about 27 minutes, and it didn't finish until 47, 48 minutes. So, yeah, I agree. Less meandering, more getting to the point, as Papis looking for a similar kind of start that Snake Pit went for last game, with looks like Porchi starting in lane and Draco Marino instead deciding to try and go aggressive onto the purple buff. I mean, it gives Warchi nearly a full wave to himself, so he's going to be ahead, I guess. And now they're looking for the red
buff invade. Yeah,
this is a really interesting strat.
Marcus actually doesn't go over the ward which was placed, goes wraps around the back, and Genetics still level 1. Marcus going to have availability of that sash. We're still making his rotation as well. 4 versus 3, very early on in this red buff. And so far looks like it's going to go the way of the Papis. The Genetics falls low. Genetics is the first blood here, making a lane rotation to Spudio. Wurstel crippled out, uses the beast to teleport away just in the nick of time.
Ding, 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 ding. That's what we want to see with the ring toss right there. Just bounces between 4 different targets, does slowing, makes Marcus super fast, does a lot of damage, shreds protections, and Genetics is going to fall down. Now, out of all those players, I think I'm the happiest, or rather, the least upset losing Genetics. But that's definitely a big win for Papis, and already up to a much better start.
They say, oh, they mentioned us playing passively in game number 1. Oh, okay, let's do the exact opposite of that in this game. And they're utilizing the early game capabilities of their draft quite well. I mean, you have a look at their draft, you think, okay, Thoth, Ganesh, gods that don't do extremely well at, you know, the pre-level 5 levels. But then they have the Naja, and they have the Ram, gods that excel in those early game levels. I mean, Ram just excels at any point in the game, don't get me wrong. But Naja does very well throughout all stages as well in different sort of roles. In that early game, excels at these team fights, these small skirmishes with the ability to ring toss between everybody, and it pays off for them.
Yeah, and then later on in the game, we'll see him move on to this more single target, blow you up, and set up for my mid laner kind of a role. And I think that kind of fits Marcus's playstyle pretty well.
It could do, or it could transition into, again, more of a setup, frontline-y, bruiser style build, whilst he pairs up with Creed to just disrupt the backline as a 2-man dive. There's so many different options that Marcus could go into with this Naja, and the versatility of this pick is what's very attractive to me for most team comps.
For sure, yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, it definitely depends on how Papis are going to play this early game. I feel like if Marcus is able to get a decent enough lead, he can build into that damage and just look to annihilate someone, but it also does give them some decent fallback, as you said. If they get behind, if Marcus feels like he's not doing the damage he needs to, could build into that more tanky build, like you said. Now, moving back over here like we saw, like we didn't rather see from Wurstel on the first game, re-invading this purple buff and are able to pick it up. Papis off to a blitz of a start.
Yeah, but they're at the same amount of gold lead that Snake Pit were at this stage of the game, except Snake Pit had a 1,000 gold lead on top of it, thanks to the first bloods that they did get, whilst Papis only 287 in lead. They're down in experience, which tells me that their farm game just hasn't been as strong as the Snake Pit, and that is even considering the fact that they've had extra camps on the top of that, to the tune of 2 purple buffs and a red buff. So, if I'm Snake Pit, I'm not worried one bit about the fact that they're invading the purple there. I'm not worried one bit that they got that red buff invade off, or that first blood, because the game's going still as it should do.
Yeah, to be fair, I gotta completely agree with you. They haven't really... Well, I can't even say they haven't really gotten much off of the kill onto Genetics, because they reinvaded the purple. They got the red buff again. You know, they got the stuff that you would expect them to get from getting an early kill onto the support, but clearly Snake Pit have been grabbing this experience and gold on the other half of the map, putting their pressure into the soul lane, and, well, you can't see it just yet in terms of levels and XP, but if we have a look here over onto the graph, you can see Tyram's just slightly ahead of Creed as well, in terms of XP needed towards the next thing, but conversely, I might be reading these charts wrong, AJ. I need a proper decipher. You tell me what you see.
Okay, so what I see is the lower that they are down on this chart, the closer they are to the next level. So I can see that Thor is about to proc into level 6 to catch up with Marcus, but I can also see that I can also see Thor landing down from his first ultimate. Not the best use out of it, but was looking for Checkyu in that mid lane. Chekio just sitting a bit too far back on the tower. May have seen him going up into the sky there. But ready and waiting was angry with that ultimate of his. And that is a devastating combo to come into when they're just so well coordinated.
I think it's a smart move from Worst Turtle. Yeah, in an ideal world, he's able to go in there and get a potential pick. But he's also scouting. You know, he's going up there, grabbing vision, getting locked in the Dharmic Pillars. There's the stash from Marcus. Wonderful Scarab Blessing coming up from Genetics. And now the snipes from Warchi looking to find him, but doesn't quite have vision over those walls. And thanks to that, Worst Turtle is just about able to escape with his life. What a beautiful revive there from the support from the side of Pixit.
You're seeing why they picked it early now rather than letting it potentially get banned. This is Genetics, one of Genetics' best gods. I think the other one that he excels extremely well on is the Sobek. But then again, every single European support has a Sobek. Umoja also up there for Genetics, but Kepri far and above his best pick. And it's shown there with quick reflexes, good positioning, allows himself time to get out as well with Worst Turtle. And Worst Turtle repays in kind by getting an invade off and punishing Marcus.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Papis have been playing this really, really well, but conversely, the small players from Snake Pit have really been boosting them up here. Papis have been able to get on top of their farm game, though, are now sitting about 1,000 ahead. Worst Turtle potentially getting booped away here, but thanks to a nice little beads, he is able to find the hammer on the other side of the wall and get away from Draco Marino and Chekio. So very, very well played from him to be able to make his way up.
I thought they were going to go for a speed buff invade there was Marcus, but just deciding against it at the very last second. Instead, maybe looking to ambush Thor here at the blue buff. But a huge rotation coming out so far from Genetics and Angry. And up in the sky goes Worst Turtle. They're looking to punish the invade. Marcus gets out with a nice ring toss of the Totem of Coup. Worst Turtle comes out of that trade. Not on the good end.
Yeah, absolutely. Manages to just about get out, as you said, but he's going to be a little bit worse for wear, and with that little trip to base that he's probably going to have to take, he is going to fall even further behind his counterpart here. Marcus has really been doing well, trying to get this damage. Now over on the left-hand side, Warchi looking to solo out Spudio, but a quick dash into the wall and a dash away is going to find him safe. Genetics does step over a ward there on that left-hand side, so is able to alert the ADC. Worst Turtle now does get the revive placed on him, but look at this. The weight from the damage isn't quite going to be enough. Genetics picks up Draco Marino, and now Worst Turtle's going to get out. Is he, though? 1-2, not quite on the mark. Spudio does find Marcus, though. Chekio forced the beads away from that crystal there from Chernabog. Going to escape with his life just about. Terum does make the rotation to attempt the assist, but 2 kills there go the way of the Snake Pit. I'm not going to be happy with that.
Yeah, and odd decision, though, for Chekio to utilize the beads. Yes, he gets hit by the crystal from Chernabog, but he already saw him use that stim of his that is used to detonate the crystal. So wasn't that any form of risk from getting rooted by it? And then Terran makes a rotation, and again, an equally odd decision for him. Sees him beat right in front of him, and elects not to dive the tower with ultimate. The fact that he's a Wukong, one of the level ambassadors will, which absolutely slaps, by the way. And as that Soul Eater online now, would definitely have got a kill out onto Chekio and punished him once again.
Maybe he was just in the jungle when the beads were popped, but for sure you would have expected...
would have said something.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, you would have expected the call from the teammate to go, hey, beads was popped from Thoth. Let's get him. And yeah, I gotta agree with you. A bit of a weird decision there from Terum to not go for the kill. Maybe still playing a little scared here, as Marcus in the mid lane getting sniped there by Angry. The damage is so good, not quite enough to kill, but he's definitely getting there.
Yeah, see, Angry doesn't even go into a Doom Orb. He's going into the Enchanted Spear right now. Can lead into a Divine Ruin, but without any real major sources of healing on the side of the Papis. I think it's going to go to something else. Spirit of Desolation is going to be the choice here from Angry. Extreme amounts of power, lots of pen, cooldown reduction, and extra cooldown reduction. Thor, once again, lands on no one. That's 3 for 3 so far for Worst Turtle's ultimates, getting off the mark.
Off the mark, or an unwillingness to go in, or potentially not seeing a target. It's a little strange, you know. One ult, we can call scouting. 2 ults is a little sus. 3, he may as well just go vents.
I was about to make that reference and he stole it from me. So, red buff goes the way of the snake pit. They managed to secure it with a quick little spin to win from Angry. Purple buff, a bit of a different matter though, as looks like a bit of a fight gonna emerge from here. Double tap off the mark as just rolling away as Warchi. Up into the ultimate goes crazy. He's creating so much room.
And it doesn't look like Worstatel is going to be able to escape from him, though. Once again, beautiful Scarab's blessing there from Genetics to save life. It's not going to quite matter as Genetics is going to be picked up himself, but does trade out. Watchy, though, on the other end of this fight, he's going to get picked up too, alongside two of his teammates. Three members from Papis fall down, Marcus, Chekio, and Warchi. And Snake Pit could potentially look to pick up an objective here, but it doesn't look like they're quite in position to do so, no stuff after the stuff, but Snake Pit definitely walk away with the upper hand.
They walk away with their red buff, they walk away with their purple buff, they walk away with 3 kills, they walk away with defending their honor, defending their jungle. They could even get a 4th here with Creed. Don't have to be off the mark, and I think that's going to spell the end for any kill potential they have onto the guy. Wait, no, Jello go to the sky. Again, he missed.
That's, I want to give Worstatel the benefit of the doubt and say that there was a problem with his keyboard. No, there was a problem with the keyboard. You saw him there throw out the hammer just to instantly teleport it before it does any damage to Creed just before he makes it back to lane. So potentially a little bit of a misclick there, teleporting to the hammer a little too soon, and then all off the mark. It's a little upsetting for Worstatel not having the best showing on Thor so far, but hey, the walls have been on point, so I mean, a quarter of his kit has been used.
I mean, I would say 3/4 of the kit has been used well. Genetics going to get engaged upon here. Up into the sky he goes. 2 snipes waiting for him on the ground. 1 from Angry, 1 from Chekio. 1 gets a kill, and that's Marcus on the side of the Papis.
Dharmic Pillars just doing a little bit of extra work there to ensure there are no protections on Genetics when he lands. They are really bullying out this Kepri, which shows a lot of respect onto the support player from Snake Pit, from Papis. So really, really well, what's the word I'm looking for here? Analyzed?
I think so, yeah.
Seen. Very, very well
Planned. I think that was a planned kill. Alright, well, Warchi is going to go aggressive onto Spudio, and I don't think the damage he's taken here is planned whatsoever. Well, Spudio going to go up into the sky, see that Drake Arena is making his rotation. I think he was using that as a cooldown reset as well, because he was going to come straight back down, root Warchi once again after his roll was down. Genetics making his presence known as well. Warchi on the receiving end of more damage yet again. So far, so good for Spudio, though. 3-0-1 doesn't take the loss in that 1v1. In fact, it allows his team to put pressure onto the purple buff. For the first time, the Snake Pit are getting the ones that are getting the invade off.
Yeah, they look like they're going to pick up this purple buff and potentially look for a gold theory immediately after with the amount of space that Papis are giving them. Looks like Terrorim's starting to rotate over here as well, but sniffs out a speed buff. Oh, that's a good feeling as a solo laner when you walk into the jungle and go, oh, hang on a minute. That's a speed. Why doesn't he pick it up? Terrorim, pick it up.
He wants blue. He's a solo laner.
Pick up. Oh, okay, maybe it's because I'm a jungler now. I'm getting the speed buff hungries, so maybe I'm a little biased. But if I'm playing solo, I think I want the speed buff at this point in the game. It really helps out with the rotations, and Wukong is definitely the kind of god with those 72 transformations who's really good at making these early game rotations and making his impact felt. So that's kind of why I want to see him pick up that speed.
True, but I think he's still best utilized by getting that extra CDR online. He's got 10% from the Soul Eater. He's going to get, well, if that was going to be a Shillelagh, that would be another 10%. But no, it's going to be the Sledge, all pledge to the Sledge. So far, I'll be sitting on 20% with a blue buff, which gives him just enough CDR to play around with aggressively and defensively in fights, but still has to be careful about how he engages them. Marcus has to be careful as well.
Ooh, thanks to that heal, though. Thank you to the Lotus's blessing. Marcus is able to heal up without that Scarab's bless. What is it? The Sun Shred doing too much damage to him. He's not going to fall down for it. And the Dharmic Pillars is dropped there in response to Spudio's ult, which I think has got to be a win for Snake Pit, right? Causing those Dharmic Pillars to go down just because Spudio decided that, I might ult here. That's fine.
Yes, I don't know if they know that it's down, though, because it happened... Oh, did it happen on a ward? I'm not sure. 0 for 5.
I'm
We're
not. I'm
5.
not. I'm not sure if Spadio would have gotten vision on that whilst he was in the sky. That's a really good point. But obviously, Draco Marino drops the pillars. Whether or not Spadio can see it, Draco Marino now no longer has those dynamic pillars for this next fight, unless they're waiting around for it for long enough.
Spadio and Watchy continuing the farming game over here on the left-hand side. Right-hand side, similar story between Terram and Creed. Both side lanes sitting fairly comfortably above the rest of their teammates, but a big lead developing in that jungle role. Worst Turtle level 14 to Marcus's level 11. It is not looking good for this jungle, Naja, and I think he's going to be making the right decision here by transitioning into a more bruisery-style build by going into the sledge.
And this is exactly what we were talking about earlier. In fact, hold on just a second, as over here in the left lane, looks like 3 members are looking at Draco Marino, but he's going to be just fine. But yeah, this is what we were kind of saying earlier, right? And that Naja can kind of transition between these two builds depending on what's happening in the game. And Papis looked like they could have gotten that lead earlier on, but it's a really good decision, I think, from Marcus to recognize he's not going to be doing the damage that he wants to be doing. He's going to transition into a more of a bruisery build regardless, as Chekio falls down in an instant.
He got ambushed at his big harpy, and the Gold Fury is going to feel it pretty much the exact same way, just gets a bit of extra time to live because of how long it takes to stay down. Warchi in the sky, primed and ready. Come down with the snipes. Far too early, though. Snake Pit, destroy the Gold Fury and take control of game number 2.
Good attempt by Warchi to pick it up. Obviously, just unfortunate he was a little bit early. Terram is going to look to find Marcus over here in the jungle. I'm not sure why Terram's being so reserved. I don't know. I don't know, AJ. If you're a level 17 Wukong and you see the level 13 Naja in the jungle with no one else around and your phone is dead, would you be Shia LaBeoufing right up into him?
I don't know what I would do in that instance. I probably would just try and run away, but I might get caught in a bear trap if that's the case.
Amazing. Thank you so much for continuing that. I'm really glad that happened.
No worries. I have to indulge you at some point.
Yes.
Because then you get, because this is how I train you to do less puns and less references. I indulge you occasionally, and you rein it in ever so slowly.
I see. It's a Skinner box technique. And speaking of reining it into ever so slowly, Worst Turtle's going to go straight up, straight down, but on the other side of the map, escaping just narrowly. You heard it from the man himself. That was close. Thank you, Thor. Doing my job for me.
We don't even need to cast anymore. Just let the gods talk about it. Dot has nothing to say right now. He's just too busy farming, as is Naja. But the rest of the cast are busy moving around the map, looking for the next potential team fight. With the Gold Fury being down on the left-hand side, that leaves the Pyromancer and Fire Giant as potential targets. Tier 1 towers also high on the priority list for both teams. So mid laners and junglers certainly going to be the cornerstones for this next engagement.
It'll be exactly as you said. Over here on this right-hand side, we're looking at these solo lane characters. It's nearly 20 minutes into the game, and you know what that means, AJ. It's time for the Fire Giant Tango, where we dance around the Fire Giant nice and passionately until it falls down, and we defeat our energies in a fit of passion.
I thought it was time for more solo lane slap fights. You know, as a solo laner, it's just you slap until the tower dies, or until the game is over, whichever happens first.
Well, I thought it was going to look to be another Fire Giant dance, but nope, neither of these teams really looking like they're in that kind of a position just yet. Creed and Terram nearly pinging level 20 here. Spadio about level 18. 3-0-1 on the Chernobog right now. It's almost the same kind of a thing as we were talking about Angry last game, in that he's been kind of quiet, but he's been doing the damage.
He has been, and his impact has been felt across the entirety of the game, I feel, thanks to that Living Nightmare ultimate. We saw that plain and simple with the dropping of the Dharmic Pillars. The second Living Nightmare was used by Spadio when Marcus was about 1 health. Pyromancer feeling the heat as down comes the Solar Blessing from Ra. Celestial Beam going to secure the objective as the Snake Pit get themselves an objective for free. Beams expended by Genetics as he gets pulled in, but Spadio and Warchi, they're doing a dance of death.
I don't think Spudio's going to be in too much fear, as he's going to dash into Warchi right now. And, I mean, 2 levels up, 1v1 in the Hunter lane. I don't think Spudio had anything to fear there. Both of them hitting pretty much all of their shots as far as I was aware. Mochi just not having the damage to deal with Chernobog, who, as we've said plenty of times in the past, AJ, does take a little while to get going, but once he does, he swings.
Once he gets a bit of attack speed online, he's just constantly bombarding you with that passive. It's a lot better now to face him than when he was first released, simply because he no longer gets the passive hits every single time he utilizes a basic attack from his ultimate. Dracomarino's just dead there every single time he stands into that tower, but it's now still every 3 basic attacks, successful basic attacks onto an enemy god or enemy target, that he will get the crystal exploding, doing extra damage. There was a time when it was every basic when landing from his ultimate, and that was a nightmare.
Yeah, a living one at that. Snake Pit are looking so much more confident this game that it's like watching 2 different teams. They are willing and able to commit to these fights. They don't seem to be overstaying, apart from Terran, who might be in a little bit of trouble here, but does have the cloud jump. So he's just fine. Creed, however, on the flip side, might be in a bit of trouble himself. Get a nice 3-man knock up there from the ultimate, but now has to stop and deal with the clone. Stop and heal his teammates around him. He's going to be just fine. Snake Pit managed to pick up the tower. Worst turtle yet again. Not hitting anything with that ultimate. Poor guy. This Thor just not really hitting the mark so far for Snake Pit.
Yep, I mean, as I said, over 6 I don't think I've seen him land on top of somebody just yet. 1 dash in, 1 dash counters, as Genetics gets knocked up. Creed, as his mantle proc there, going down below that health threshold, finds himself needing to go back to base. Genetics doesn't have to go back to base, he can get healed up nice and safely thanks to his Ra, who has gone into the Lotus Crown to give him and his team extra protections. Oh, 1v1 on that left-hand side yet again as Warchi forced to go into the sky. Worst turtle there on landing as well, and this is one dead Ra.
Yep, can you really call it a 1v1 if the supports are here? Let's be honest, Marcus is the support at this point. Spudio does not miss! Look at those auto attacks, he does not miss a single one. Did he just dash into the Dalek Pillar? No, it was the wall just behind it. He is going to fall down here though, no ultimate available for him. Marcus takes him up into the sky, but look at this, the Scarab's blessing. They're waiting for it, but Spudio gets time to heal up and run away. He's out! He's out of the woods, ladies and gentlemen. He's gonna make it out. Angry picks up one on his own. Not happy with Marcus for taking his ADC down so low. Karen picks up Chekio. Creed falls down as well. 4 people down. Draco Marino, all by himself. They're gonna pick up this Phoenix and
there's too many towers. There's too many towers for them to end, so they can't go for this. They can't go for this.
Are you sure?
They?
I think they're looking for it. Draco Marino's gonna fall down nice and quickly. No one else on the Snake Pit are here to respond. Warchi only just respawning 10 seconds on the nearest person. Half HP, 1/4. The Titan is dead, and Snake Pit are gonna clutch the 2 over 23 minutes.
Hello?
Night and day. AJ, 50-minute game, 23-minute game. The difference is, the only difference is the confidence that Snake Pit have in themselves to be able to make those plays. As soon as they flick that switch, nothing Papis can do. They just run it down, literally.
Yeah. I think they also smelt like blood in the water because Papis had that aggressive start. They had a great start to the game, but just never built up a head of steam. They never built up that gold lead the same way that the Snake Pit did in game number 1. And the second that they got that one team fight off correctly, it was all just Snake Pit rolling and rolling and rolling. And eventually, the snowball that is Spudio comes crashing down and decimates the rest of the Papis. And that last team fight pretty much summed up the entire set. The Papis so close on so many different things, but the check boxes go all the way to Snake Pit, time in, time out.
For sure. And sorry, I'm still just super hyped up from that ending play. I was with you, honestly, man. I was thinking it was way too much. Warchi was going to respawn, get a triple kill, completely reverse the momentum of the game, but they just, I don't know what it was. Angry was able to keep them sustained with the big heal. Terrorim was just doing damage. I mean, Spudio was swinging that game. I talked about it literally 5 minutes before they won, but he was so present that, like, he had the kind of effect that Angry had in the first game where you don't think that the game was kind of being run by him, but he really was in that kind of driving seat, and just wow. wow is the only word that I have to describe that last stint to that game. Because wow.
For me, it's just you can't give genetics Kepri, it seems. You think you
Mm,
have Spudio? You don't. You think you have Worst Turtle? You don't. You think you have Angry? You don't. You think you even have genetics himself? You don't. He is out. He is safe. Everyone's safe when he's playing this god. But now it's come to an awkward spot for the Pappies because if we're going to talk a bit about the standings now, they're now
mhm,
sitting what comes out to be 2 losses. So the most that they can hope for is a 3-2 record. Remember, only top 3 will qualify for this season, or for split 4 final, sorry. If you're sitting at 3-2, there's a very real possibility that you will get 4th seed because the teams
mhm.
above you can all go 4-1 by winning every single one of their games against the teams below them, and then doing a 1-win, 1-loss round robin with the teams that are also 4-1, which effectively means Puppies are in a bit of a hot seat right now, where if they lose just one more set, there's a very easy possibility that they are just not qualifying for the split 4 finals.
And that's a terrifying thought. I mean, as far as I'm aware, Puppies have gone to every finals so far this year. So,
Split 1 they didn't. Split 1 they finished 4th seed. It was the Snake Pit and Cold Llamas that went on with the belt slap.
well, color me corrected. So, 2 times in a row. It would be very, very interesting to not see them take that spot. That it would
Yeah,
be,
exactly.
yeah, like crazy. So, I'm really going to be keeping my eye on on the Puppies as we go forward. I'm sorry, I'm still kind of reeling. This whole
I am
set
as
has
well.
been from one extreme to the other,
Yeah.
like I said, closing that one off 50 minutes to 23 in such a stark change that it was just crazy. But yes, absolutely, Puppies are a team to watch in terms of their next set, and well, hopefully they can make it to playoffs. But it would be
Yeah.
interesting to see another team occupy that spot.
Because don't forget, they still have to face Belt Slap in this split. That's
Ooh.
gonna be their week 4 matchup. It's a must win for them. When before it was just a we win, we get first, we lose, we get second seed. So
Mhm.
yep, it's not looking good for them, and performances have to pick up from them. But huge congratulations to Snake Pit, who once again find themselves on the up and up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, AJ, that's going to be it from us over on the EU side of things. We'll be back with more SCC action tomorrow, though, if you're looking for the NA games. So make sure that you come back around for then. But, well, until that, we don't have anything left to do here. So we'll see you next week for some more EU.